Welcome back. I know some of you are probably surprised because I already put out an episode this week, but I think going forward, every week, I'll have an episode that's a bit more scripted, where I'm talking about a specific topic with a bit more detail, and then we're going to have an episode like this, where it's going to be a stream of consciousness type podcast, where I'm just really talking about pieces of media that I've enjoyed, shit that I've been watching, playing, all that good stuff, as well as just, random thoughts, riffs, and rants that I have about certain shit going on, like sometimes I just I get in a situation and I'm like, fuck dude, like this pisses me off, or like I have a rant that pertains to this situation, so I figure why not just save it for the podcast? Why not, instead of emptying my thoughts into the fucking ether that is my car when no one's in it, how about I just save this rant, bottle it up, write it down a little bit, and then I can just empty this stupid bullshit onto an audio platform. So yeah, here we are again. Now, today, while it is a stream of consciousness, I kind of want to talk about video games, especially over this last year, because going into this time last year, I remember I had my Xbox One for 10 years, and that thing had survived a lot, but it was on its last legs. You could just tell it was not in good shape, right? I constantly had issues with my controller. I had to get a new controller that was a wired one, because there's no way I'm paying $60 fucking dollars for an Xbox One remote in fucking 2024. No fucking way. And so after a while, I was kind of bored of playing the same games, because for a while I was just kind of cycling between Devil May Cry 5, Asura's Wrath, and a few other games. Can't quite remember, just because I haven't played them in so fucking long, right? And so I was just kind of I wasn't super into gaming, right? And I just thought, oh, there's not a lot of good games coming out. But then my friend was just kind of like, hey, man, you'd probably enjoy games more if you just got a new-gen console and could play newer games, because there are good newer games. And I was like, all right, what the fuck ever. Let's buy a PS5, I guess. And so I go out, I get myself a PS5 and a new TV, because I'm a grown man living with my parents. I have disposable income, and I'm allowed to make irresponsible choices. So I got those two things in the same day. I literally got a call from my bank, and they were like, hey, we noticed some suspicious activity on your card. And I was like, no, I meant to make those purchases. I stupidly didn't get a PS5 with a disc drive. It would have just been $50 more, but I was just like, I'll save a little money, I guess, since I'm spending so much. Dumb as fuck. Should have just got the edition with the disc drive so I could watch my Blu-rays and 4Ks on there. But it's whatever. So anyways, I get the PS5, and I have a friend who tells me, you can do game share, so you can download whatever games you want. And so I start downloading some games I've seen clips of, or that other friends have told me are fun, I download Spider-Man. I download fucking Cyberpunk, I start playing them, but then there was this new game that had just come out right before them that I got really fucking into, because my friend recommended it to me because he was playing it and he said it was a lot of fun, and that was Black Myth Wukong. Now, when I first started playing this fucking game, dude, I through lifting of some sort, just slamming the bar on the ground or something, or just doing something with my trap, I managed to pinch a nerve somewhere in my trap or my neck, dude. And so it was hard for me to move around and stuff. I was feeling stinging pain all through my body. So really all I could do was sit there and game. And so for a good 20 hours that weekend, I was on Black Myth Wukong, just grinding. And it was my first Souls-like ever. It was my first action RPG that had those kind of mechanics in it. And it ended up being the game I poured the most time into last year. I think I poured about 200 plus hours into that game, just because I loved it after I beat it the first time, which took me a long time. I played it 2 more times on New Game Plus setting just to have fun. And then I started a new run. I didn't fully finish it, but I started a new run, and I was blitzing through the game because, after Black Myth Wukong, I was challenged by my friend to take on another beast of a game, the king of the Souls-likes, at least the current king of the Souls-likes, and that is fucking Elden Ring. Now, don't get me wrong. Black Myth Wukong is an awesome game. In terms of graphics, it's stunning. The fight mechanics are very fun. They can get a little boring, but you have things like spells, gourds, and other stuff to add variety to the combat. There's so many different bosses. It's a very fun game. And if you're looking for like a fun Souls-like game that maybe isn't quite as difficult as some Souls games are, just because in my experience, I have found the Souls games and like From Software games to be more difficult than this one. This is a great starting point. Like, it is such a fun action game, and God, it tests your skills, but it's also a game where you can get better at things in it. And yeah, like, I can't recommend Black Myth Wukong enough. Like, if you're looking for a fun way to just kill time, not just kill time, but like looking to have a fun, challenging gaming experience, that's right up the alley. I know a lot of people, like, when they play video games, they don't want to play a game that's gonna make them fucking rage out because they're fighting the same boss for, like, 30 times in a row, and they're just like trying to figure out how to get past this one series of moves. But I also think that's what's fun about games like this. The scripting element of like taking on a hard boss and then kind of having to like figure out how to beat them over time is fun. However, I realized that my scripting in Wukong was pretty fucking weak when I then went on and tried to play Elden Ring because my boy pressured me into playing Elden Ring. Now, the thing that made Elden Ring very daunting at first was I did not go the easy way. I did not avoid the fucking tree sentinel. No, my friend told me if you want to get good at the game and you want to be like strong to start the game, you got to beat the tree sentinel when you're at like level 0, level 1, right? And so for like 2 straight fucking weeks, I was still playing Black Myth Wukong, but I would go play Elden Ring for a good portion of my days. And I would try to beat the Tree Sentinel. And, dude, I swear to God, when you're at such a low level in that game, it is so hard to beat that motherfucker because so many of his sweeping moves can just, like, literally chunk your health by, like, 2/3 of it. And then you have to use a heal. And depending on which class you're using, it kind of dictates what weapon you're going to get. And, therefore, you can use your charged R2 attack, or you can use, like a FP infused attack, like your special attack that comes with your weapon, right? But that only does like a small amount of damage to his overall health. So you're going to need to do that a lot of times, and you need to just dodge, 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 hit your opportunity, dodge, 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 look for another opportunity. And then if you run out, like I was using the samurai build, right? So I would use my unsheath attack, and then when I ran out of FP on my best runs, what I would always do is I would slowly chip away at the health a little bit more with the light attacks, especially if I knew I could get like consecutive light attacks off in a window. And then I dodge, dodge, dodge. Then I refill my FP, then do the unsheath attack. And I remember the absolute like high I felt, the euphoria I felt from beating Tree Sentinel. I don't know if I've ever quite felt that in games. And that's the unique thing about From Software games, is because of the inherently challenging natures of this game. The fact that these games like make it hard to the point where like if you just want like a fun, casual, good time where you get some escapism, these are not the games for you, because you're going to be sitting there at your screen just like, dude, it fucking sucks losing to this same boss 3 times in a row and nothing I do seems to work, and I have to like actually devise like a whole thought out strategy for this fight. Like, fuck that, I'll just go play something a little easier. And I never slight people for that, because I get it. Not everybody's like, as autistic as me, where it's like, no, I have to figure out the pattern, I have to figure out the process, I have to adapt to it, I have to develop the process of my own to beat it so that I can feel good about myself and feel smart and feel accomplished. You know what I mean? But that's the kind of thing Elden Ring brings out of me. And there were so many bosses where like I found myself, like there were bosses where like because I had built myself up and shit, when I got to them, I fucking mowed through them and I was like, wow, dude, like you're nothing. But then there were bosses where I get to it and it was hard, and it was like, okay, the strategy of just walking this person down and using your lion's claw ass to just spin at them won't always fucking work. If you're just spitting at them the whole time, they will fucking dodge or they will hit you with shit that will fucking kill you before you get to them. So it was like, okay, you have to dodge, you have to use stuff, It's learning how to like use your talismans right, learning how to use buffs right in Elden Ring is super cool. And like honestly, the exploration of the world made it a really fun game with just like, you know, killing hours of time because you could just go around and just like explore, and then out of nowhere you'll come upon like a secret dungeon and you'll find like a little boss at the end of the cave, and next thing you know, with that boss you got more stuff to level up, you maybe get a new weapon out of it, and then you know you go to a new area you explore. I will say, when I first started playing the game, fucking Caelid sucked so bad. And then once I got through more of Limgard or Limgrave, once I got through more of Limgrave and like actually beat a lot of the bosses there, then Caelid was so much easier. I will say though, I remember like when I first started playing and I tried to go through Caelid and I was just like, why are these dogs fucking me up so bad? Why are these birds fucking me up so bad? I like can't hit them without them killing me, you know? And then I try to ride my horse to get away from them, but they'd be like, bitch, we're fast too. And we got fast jaws, motherfucker. You think you're gonna run? And it's just like, God damn it. Please, just let me live. I'm only level 25. I'm not ready for this. You know? But the game is so fucking fun. The combat mechanics make it super interesting. The fact that you have so many different classes and so many different attributes that you can buff to build certain classes, to have certain effects in certain fights, is really cool. It adds a lot of variety and it adds a lot of versatility. Because like with Wukong, really the versatility element comes in like the weapons you can build and the armor you can build, because your weapon and your armor will kind of determine more of your play style, and the play styles are all variations. Like if you have the armor set that gives you points like a boost or spirit points for fucking perfect dodges, you're going to play a more defensive style where you dodge, and then you wait till your meter's filled up so then you can unleash like launched heavy attacks on the enemy. Whereas in Elden Ring, you have so many different approaches you take, not only based on the class you choose at the beginning of the game, but based on like the different stats you can buff. Like if you want to go for like an insane bleed build, you'll buff arcane and dex. If you want to go for a straight unga bunga build, you will put all of your money into fucking strength and maybe like endurance and health. If you're like an intelligence build who wants to use magic, you'll put it into intelligence and faith, or maybe intelligence and arcane, depending on what type of magic you want to use, you know? And so there's a ton of versatility within the world of Elden Ring. There's a ton of sick ass bosses, dude. There's one point where you have to fight through like a Harry Potter school, and like I got pretty far into the game. I've beat the fire giant. I've beat Placidusax. All I have to beat, because I'm in the floating ancient city or what the fuck ever, or I'm in the dragon city, you know. I do still have to beat Malekith, and I know I have to beat Moog. I have to beat Melania, and then I have to beat Radagon, you know, / Marika. Yeah, because I think Radagon and Marika are the same person. Yeah, they are. And like Elden Ring's also a cool game because it has so much lore. Like you fight these insane beings, these monsters, and like you look at them and you hear about them in the story through like legends and stuff, and you're like, God damn, I want to learn more about them. Like, Placidusax is this cool-ass ancient dragon. Is he a bitch to fight? I fucking hate his fight so much. Like, mini Placidusax rant. The fucking walk back to the Placidusax fight is so fucking annoying. You respawn in a church, then you gotta run through all those weird dog-looking motherfuckers, then you gotta drop down all these various different rocks, and if you don't drop down right, you will just fucking die from fall damage, because even though your character can fight a fucking dragon, if he falls more than 50 fucking feet, he's just done, finito, out of here. You know, makes no fucking sense. You drop down on these platforms, then you have to get onto this like weird spinny thing in the middle of the fucking map, and you have to rest and wait for the arena to rebuild itself because it's in some weird temporal loophole where it can exist in a place outside of like current time and how it flows, and then you have to fight the fucking ancient dragon. You know? And he's like flying all around the map. He's using his fucking weird flames and his red lightning to just constantly fuck you. And, you know, you think you get out of range of the yellow fire, and then it hits you once, and then it hits you again, and then you're just dead. And then so then you respawn, you do the fucking walk back again. You learn how to avoid the fire. You learn how to stay beside him most of the time. But god damn it, is his health pool so big. Like, you fucking do like one of your major attacks on him, it's like a fucking drop in the ocean. You're lucky if it's taking 5 5% of his health. So you got to land 20 of those charged R2s or 20 of those special attacks to even get this guy. And sure, you could use things like a Mimic Tier, but like, you know, if you know somebody or you play with somebody who doesn't use a Mimic Tier, they're just going to make fun of you. They're going to be like, why don't you just get better at the game instead of using your fucking Shadow Jutsu clone? And it's like, shut the fuck up, okay? And that's another thing. Any game that gives you like a cloning mechanic, I'm like kind of on the fence. Like, I feel like it's like, well, if the game gives you the mechanic, you should be allowed to do it. But if you're just using the cloning mechanic to constantly, like, cheese bosses and stuff and make it super easy for yourself and remove any difficulty, that's where it's like, okay, man, like, come on, just fight him straight up, you know, just fight him straight up. I will admit, I did do some cheese when I fought the Mimic Tier, though. I removed all my shit, all my armor and weapons. So the motherfucker just had to fight me naked, and then I put all my armor and shit back on. And I was like, ha ha, fuck you. I put a sneaky one on you. I did use some cheese on some bosses, but here's the thing, right? I haven't beat Elden Ring. So what I want to do is I want to beat all the From Software games and all the Souls games specifically, and also Sekiro Sekiro and Bloodborne just because those look sick as fuck. And then I want to go back through Elden Ring because I have a friend who's really into the Souls games. He's really into From Software. They're like his favorite game developer out there. And, you know, for a long time, he's been wanting me to play the other From Software games, more specifically like Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, Bloodborne, you know? And it's funny because as much as he wanted me to play those games first, the From Software game that I'm closest to beating and will end up beating first is going to be Armored Core 6, which we'll talk about later because I've been having a ton of fun with Armored Core 6. So I got pretty far in Elden Ring, and then as I was getting further in Elden Ring, then another game came out, a game I could play more with my buddy, who's like the only person I like to actually game with, and he put me on to Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, Monster Hunter Wilds is a ton of fun, dude. Like, Monster Hunter Wilds, it has fun game mechanics. The open world is fun to explore. Plus, like, just, like, the format of the game, which is taking assignments, hunting monsters and stuff is really cool. The way you can, like, loot monsters for materials to build swords and armor is really cool. Plus, there's, like, you know, the gear bag system where you can carry a bunch of stuff with you, which is nice, you know. You can carry, like, meat, rations, different types of food to give yourself buffs. And then you can also, you know, use like potions, drinks and stuff to help you like brave certain terrains and certain elements, you know, like you go to like volcanic style places and Arctic places, you know, so you have drinks that warm your body up and keep it warm so that it's not like losing health due to being cold. And then you have like cool drinks that cool your body down in those more volcanic areas so that like you're not overheating and losing health that way. You know, you have various different pods you can use in your launcher that will like kind of give you a leg up with certain like especially like bigger monsters in that game, because like when you first start out, like the scale of the monsters you're hunting, like they're big fucking monsters, don't get me wrong, but like once you like kind of understand your weapon, how to use it in combat, you can easily become busted when it comes to the lower ranked monsters. Like I, for the longest time, I ran a hammer build, dude, and just bonking the shit out of certain body parts was just so goddamn effective on some of these monsters, dude. And then I switched to a great sword build because I wanted to do big damage again, just with a big sword instead of a big hammer. I'm a big let's swing the big sword guy. Like in Elden Ring, the build I primarily used was at first I started out with like kind of a bleed build with the Bloodhound Fang sword, going for bleed damage, you know, on bosses. But then once I got the great sword and the Lion's Claw, I started abusing the fuck out of the great sword and the Lion's Claw. It was like, oh, this move is unblockable and it chunks a good deal of a boss's health. Yeah, fuck yeah, we're going to use that. And then I got to certain bosses where I was like, why the fuck aren't you going down? You know, like the bull one in Elden Ring, that bull boss that like has like gravity powers. Fucking hate that guy. I fucking hate it. The Falling Star Beast, that thing's the fucking worst. Rykard's an awesome boss fight in that game, though. I should probably just make a whole video about Elden Ring, or a whole podcast about Elden Ring at some point, but it's whatever. Anyways, I get into Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, Monster Hunter Wilds, I spent a lot of time grinding this game. I remember when I was really into it, dude, I would just sit there for hours just going on like random hunts. Even if my friend wasn't on and didn't want to play, I would just go on random hunts. And I remember I got to like Hunter rank 98. I got to Hunter rank 98 before I really stopped playing a lot. And I had a lot of gear. Like, I had the Arkveld armor set. I had Gore Magala armor. I'm pretty sure I was building a Gore Magala sword just because it does poison damage along with his regular damage. And when you get a sword in that game that has, like, an actual effect on it, you can fuck up some monsters, dude. But I kind of got out of it just because right after Monster Hunter Wilds, I fell into this, like, kind of deep YouTube rabbit hole where I was kind of getting back in touch with the Call of Duty series. And so I kind of switched over to playing FPS games for a while. But Monster Hunter Wilds is a super fun game. It's not just a game that you can play with friends and have fun. It's a game you can play by yourself and have fun. You can grind on your own. You can get gear. You can get really fucking strong if you put time into the game, dude. It's a super fun game. Highly recommend it. Same goes for Elden Ring too. Elden Ring's hard, and if you don't like Souls-like games or you don't like games where like it's just hard and it's not like artificial difficulty where it's just like, oh, the characters have more armor. It's like, no, they're using weird attacks, delayed attacks where you have to time it right or else you're going to get fucking pasted, you know? Like, that's one thing I forgot to mention in the Elden Ring section of this video is that one of the most challenging parts of From Software games is when a boss uses a delayed attack, because the boss will keep their hand in the air for like 3 seconds, keeping you guessing, and you're like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Until they finally hit you with their attack, and you're like, Jesus, man. I had to wait until the heat death of the universe for that to happen. And by the time they swing the attack, you've already dodged 3 times. You know what I mean? Especially if it's one of your first Souls-like games or one of your first Souls games. And so you're already dodged 3 times. You're out of stamina, so when that attack finally comes, you can't even move out of the fucking way. And so you kind of have to, like, train yourself to wait for, like, the moment where you actually see movement, because they'll raise the hand up and they'll keep it up there for 3 seconds, but it isn't until you start to see movement that you can actually dodge, or you have to do the fucking boss fight enough to where you can understand the timing of their attacks and therefore time your dodges to beat it, you know what I mean? And it's pattern recognition, but it's a very fun form of pattern recognition that kind of, when you actually figure it out, it gives you so much fucking dopamine. Like, you feel such a rush, especially when you've been struggling with a boss for like hours on end. Maybe you take a little break, you come back, you finally unlock the perfect strategy, and you're just like, yes. Or like, out of happenstance, you're like having a bunch of runs where you're trying to do everything perfectly, and then you have one run where it starts out like shit. But then halfway through it, you fucking lock the fuck in. And because you're so low on health and you don't have a lot of options left, you're kind of just like, oh, I'll stay alive as long as I can. And then by happenstance, because you were just focusing on staying alive and getting your hits in when you could, you actually end up beating the boss. And you're just like, huh. How about that? And so you learn and adapt through the process of playing these games, and it makes it more fun. At Monster Hunter, it's not as challenging as that, but when you get to like some of the bigger monsters, dude, holy shit, can it be hard. Like, you need to have a strategy for beating some of these monsters. You need to be planned when going in, because if you're not, and you're just swinging around a sword or swinging around your weapon, they'll fuck your shit up. Like a Gore Magala or a tempered Gore Magala, a tempered Arkveld, you know what I mean? Like especially the tempered ones, because they're like kind of fucked up monsters, so they're like angrier and more aggressive. Like, if you don't have a game plan for like how you're gonna like kind of like get your hits off and how you're gonna break certain parts of its body so that you can do more overall damage, and how you're gonna hit its wounds hard enough to where you can really break them, guess what? You're gonna get fucking pasted, you know? But still, overall, super fun game. Now let's talk about the Call of Duty rabbit hole I went on earlier this year. Now, when it comes to Call of Duty, I just started like listening to video essays where people were doing like retrospectives on the series while at work, just because I get bored at work and I need something to kind of fill the time. And so I use like video essays and stuff like that to kind of keep myself like, you know, from getting too bored at work and just looking like I don't want to be there at all. You know what I mean? And so because of this, I decided to download some Call of Duty games. Now, I'm pretty sure the first one I played was a more recent one, and that was Black Ops Cold War. Now, when I play Call of Duty, I don't play for multiplayer. I don't play a lot of multiplayer games. I really don't. I don't like doing multiplayer. Like, the only multiplayer game I play right now is fucking Elden Ring Night Rain, and that's because my friend plays it, and I like playing with him. I don't play very many multiplayer games. I'm just not that kind of guy. And so, I was going mainly into this just hoping for a good campaign. And honestly, Black Ops Cold War, it has, like, a pretty solid campaign, at least for recent Call of Duty games. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say post Black Ops 2, because not everything sucked. But, I mean, in terms of story from post Black Ops 2, it's probably one of the better ones, honestly. Like, Infinite Warfare, I've heard, has a good story. But Black Ops Cold War has a solid story with, like, intrigue and, like, those weird psychological elements you expect from the Cold War series or the Black Ops series. It does feel like with this campaign, the devs were a little rushed. They didn't have as much time to flesh it out as much as they may have wanted to. Just because when you play it, you're like, well, yeah, that was fun, but damn, that was also pretty fucking short. That wasn't a very long Black Ops campaign, especially if you're playing it on an easier difficulty. And when you're playing it on easier difficulty, it's a fucking breeze, but that's also kind of nice because you get through it quickly, and, if you want to, you can be like, hey, I got that run done in 3 hours. Let's bump up the difficulty and try, a harder run. Now, I will say, with bumping up the difficulty, it runs into the typical Call of Duty trap where, in order to make it difficult, it just gives enemies, like, armor, or it just makes an unnecessary amount of enemies spawn in, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. Can we do something more interesting to make it more difficult? Like, give me some different types of enemies that I have to take down, or something like that. I don't know. It just feels very lazy. But one thing I did like about this campaign is how at multiple points, like, you get to make decisions. Do these decisions ultimately affect the plot too much? No, not really. But it's interesting having the choice. Plus, at the end of the campaign, you make a really big fucking decision that does actually impact the story in the fact that you choose either to help the CIA and help them take down, I fucking forget his name. I fucking forget the guy's name, the villain's name. Fuck, whatever. You either help the CIA take the guy, or you betray the CIA and you work together with the guy because you find out the dude you've been chasing after this whole time, you actually used to work with him, but one of the homies in your guys' group fucking shot you at an airport. You woke up with amnesia. Next thing you know, CIA mind control, baby. You've got fake memories from Vietnam and shit, you know what I mean? And then you've got to parse through your own brain to find the information that these people want. And then once you have that information, you choose to do with it what you will. You either are like, hey, we are going to go kill these guys, we're going to go stop their broadcast, or you're like, hey, you guys are going to the wrong place, and guess what? You're walking into a straight ambush, and every time I kill one of you, it's going to show you guys getting shot in slow-mo. Which is funny, And, like, here's the thing. In this Call of Duty, the positive ending is choosing to betray them. One, not only because they kind of did some morally reprehensible things to you, but two, you get to kill a member of the IDF if you choose the ending where you betray the CIA. Which, I don't think that's too bad of a thing, but whatever. I'll shut up now. I played some other Call of Duty games, and we're going to get the remakes out of the way first when it comes to Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2, because I played the originals and I played the remakes. Now, the Modern Warfare 2019 remake, I think it's pretty solid from a campaign standpoint. Is the story the best? No, but the missions are pretty fun. Like, the Clear House mission is a lot of fun to replay, and as you scale up the difficulty in your game, it definitely gets harder from the sense of, like, not so much in that artificial way where... No, actually, no, I take that back. As you progress the difficulty, as you play more, the campaign all the way through more, they do add the artificial difficulty of just like, oh, more enemies, more guns, they have armor and shit, and they're shooting at you from angles where you can't see, and it's just like, oh, great. But it's still a fun campaign, nevertheless. I like the mission design. I like a lot of the missions. I like how they try to go for a relatively more grounded feel with this one. And I like the voice acting. I think, like, some of the moments in the campaign are really cool. Like I said, like the Clean House mission. I also think like the sniper mission you do with I forget what her name, with Farah and her brother. That one's pretty good. And I also thought like that one mission where you capture the guy and you use his family as a way of torturing him. I thought that was like, not cool in the sense that like, yeah, dude, fucking torture is sick, but more so in the sense that like it felt kind of like an older Call of Duty game, and that it's showing you some kind of like brutal shit like up close, with like not turning away from it or not trying to like totally turn it into like action movie style spectacle shit, you know what I mean? And I appreciated that. And so honestly, like the Modern Warfare 2019 remake, not that bad. Now Modern Warfare 2, oh my god, dude. Holy shit. I swear to god, the writers of this were like trying to take like everything that scares Americans. Like, what scares Americans? Russians. What also scares Americans? Middle Eastern people. What also scares Americans? Cartels. All right, we're throwing them all in a campaign. And I feel like while like throwing all these different factions opens the door for like cool characters like Alejandro, because like Alejandro in this game is admittedly a pretty fucking cool guy. Like don't get me wrong, Rudolfo's cool, but like Alejandro, he's got such a chiseled badass face, and his fucking voice is so cool. You know what I mean? Like he's the only solid character. You can maybe say Graves is a cool addition, but every other character that gets added is just whoop. And then with like the new versions of old characters like Soap, I just find him so much more annoying in these games, especially that cringe ass line where he's like, they're out here doing war crimes, makes me want to commit some war crimes of my own. It's like, shut up. Shut up, Shrek. And then like with Ghost, like part of the reason he was so cool in the original games was just because he doesn't talk, and there's this layer of like mystique surrounding his character. And then in this fucking game, he's like, stop chatting on the mic, except I'm gonna make jokes, and when I make jokes, you're gonna find them funny, or you're gonna find my British voice sexy. And it's just like, Jesus, man, Jesus. Can we go back to the cool dude who wore the skull mask, sunglasses, and just got the fucking job done, and would only reply when he needed to? Like, that guy was fucking sick. That guy barely had any dialogue, and when he got killed in the original Modern Warfare 2, it was one of the most emotionally impactful moments of the entire fucking franchise. It's seen as one of the most emotionally impactful video game deaths in the last 30 years. And then with this, they just kind of, just like, yeah, he's a fucking dry, deadpan British guy, Plus, like with this game, it's especially apparent that they're using lazy mechanics to increase the difficulty of the game, because like they're characters with like armor sets or like armor plating in this game, dude. And I swear to fucking god, it is so ridiculous when you play this game unhardened and you have to take on any enemy with armor plates, because you have to shoot them like 30 fucking times in order for them to die, or you need to shoot them like, you need to empty half your clip straight into their fucking helmet. Otherwise, they don't fucking die. And it's such an annoying bullshit mechanic to try and make the game a little bit more difficult. Also, there are just some missions that are just a slog. Like, the fucking AC-130 mission, boring. There's like that one cool mission where you're on the fucking cargo ship and it's like rocking back and forth. So the different like crates are like kind of shifting around. Like, that's kind of interesting, but so many more of the missions just feel very kind of safe. And, they're on the rails, but God, they're not great. And holy shit, the transport mission in this one, the one where you fall off the helicopter and you have to keep jumping between cars, oh my fucking God, does that mission suck. Jesus Christ, it's such a drag. And, like, the design of the mission is just shit, dude. The distance you have to drive, the fact that you have to keep climbing into new cars and shit, the random mines they throw in there at some point to make it a little bit more difficult. It's just such a poorly designed mission. And when you compare it to the past games, oh my God, it looks like such dog shit compared to it. So let's just do that right now. So now let's talk about the original Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2. These two are kind of like the gold standard when it comes to like first-person shooter, linear, on-the-rails campaign design in the modern era. Like, Infinity War really fucking went crazy with this shit, dude. Like, Modern Warfare 1, it's a good, tight campaign. You've got a lot of cool missions. You've got some great moments of spectacle, like the nuke going off and just watching your character slowly fucking die due to the radiation poisoning and the effects of the nuke going off. Price is such a fucking badass character. And your journey with Price throughout this whole fucking game is really cool. Plus, all gillied up. I get the hype now. I had never played Modern Warfare before this, dude. I had played Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and so I like people always told me All Gillied Up was like the greatest Call of Duty mission ever, and I never really understood it until I played All Gillied Up, and I was like, oh, I see what people are talking about. Yeah, this is an awesome mission. Like that's one of the best stealth missions in all of gaming, you know, because it's like literally if you get noticed, you're fucked. And if you get noticed, you have to firefight your way out of it. And you'll notice you're very outnumbered. Firefights do not work, so the game forces you to actually play within the stealth sandbox. And it makes for a really good mission. Plus the story, you know, even though it is a product of its time, it's still solid, you know. Russians working with the Middle Eastern terrorists. It's the biggest threat to American security. We need to solve this. It's the biggest threat to the free world. It's the biggest threat to the West. We need to stop this right here, right now. We're sending in our best men. We're sending in Captain John Price and his guy Soap and another guy. I forget what's the fucking guy's name? What's the other guy's name? I can't remember it. But you know, Soap's there. You play as him. And then next game, Modern Warfare 2, you get to fight alongside Soap, which I think is pretty cool. But Modern Warfare 1, man, it really just like kind of set the tone for FPS games going forward after that. You know what I mean? It set a new standard. It raised the bar, you know? And then Modern Warfare 2 took that and elevated it. See, what was great about Modern Warfare 1 was like there were some aspects of like kind of action movie spectacle violence, but it was relatively toned down for video games, so it like felt more realistic, it felt more grounded. Modern Warfare 2 definitely leans more into the like action movie spectacle. Like in the second mission of Modern Warfare, I'm pretty sure you're just kind of rolling through a city in a fucking tank just trying to provide cover fire for a bunch of... No, I think I'm getting that wrong. I might be thinking of the first mission in this game. but like, you can tell this game is leaning more into the action movie spectacle type of shit. When, like, the second mission, you have to race snowmobiles down the side of a fucking mountain to make it to the extraction zone, and you have to shoot other people off of their snowmobiles. Like, that's pure action movie shit. You know, the Russians invading fucking America is clearly some Red Dawn shit, and then you having to make your final stand in like a chain of different American restaurants is like pretty funny. You know, defending this town out the fucking window of a Burger King. It's sick, you know, and a lot of the SAS missions in this fucking game, they make you feel like you're a goddamn super spy. You know, you're scuba diving so that you can take over fucking sea, goddamn, what is it? An oil rig in the middle of the ocean. Like, that's fucking sick as fuck. You storm the fucking, what am I thinking of? What's the Russian prison? I'm thinking of? Fuck, it's in Serbia. The Gulag. You fucking destroy and storm the Gulag so that you can save Captain Price from there, dude. Like, it's such a sick fucking game. You literally launch a nuke into the atmosphere and then detonate it over North America so that it acts as an EMP signal, disabling Russian forces so that American ground forces can make a decent pushback against the Russian invasion. Like, it's such an action movie plot, you know? The big bad is a general within the government who's trying to get payback for the fact that he was nuked. His men were nuked 5 years ago, and he doesn't care if he has to burn the world in order to get that retribution and get the recognition he feels his men men deserve and he feels that he deserves, Because like, that's the thing. Shepard wants to be immortalized, Shepard just wants to be seen as a great man in history. He wants to be seen as a leader of men, and he doesn't care how many bodies he has to bury in order to accomplish that mission, so long as he accomplishes it. That's why he fucking kills Ghost and, who's the other guy you play as? He doesn't kill Soap. He kills Ghost and Roach. Ghost and Roach, I think? Yeah. Kills Ghost and Roach. And, when you play that mission, dude, it's fucking heartbreaking because you're like, you've even though these characters don't talk a lot, you've come to develop, like, some liking for them. They're your brothers in arms. And then you watch Shepard, a guy who you thought was on your side, just absolutely fucking ice them after you get him the data he needs, the data that conveniently keeps the fact that he put the guy who was found after No Russian on the mission. He pulled him from the fucking Rangers and put him into CIA so that he could be on that mission. And Makarov intentionally used that as a way to blame the attack in the Russian airport on America. Like, this is such a fucking action movie. This is such a fucking action movie. The plot resembles so many parts of the action movie. You literally have to retake the White House and keep America from shooting it with a fuck ton of missiles, And that's sick as fuck. The end of this game, you literally chase down Shepard on a fucking boat, and then you have to kill him right in front of the Rust map. You throw a knife at his fucking face. You know what I mean? This game is like an awesome action movie, but it's because it's an awesome action movie that I think makes it so memorable to people. It combines enough of the grounded, realistic elements that people appreciated in Modern Warfare, but then it combines it with fun, like action movie spectacle action that, just makes for an overall very enjoyable playthrough. Like, I played this campaign 2 to 3 times, and I had fun every time. I did it on regular, I did it on hardened, and I did it on veteran. I will say, though, those fucking missions in fucking Brazil, when you're in the fucking favelas on harder difficulties, fucking nightmare, dude. There's just enemies everywhere. They're coming from all angles. And there's, like, times where you literally have to camp out and, like, figure out the best route proceeding forward. And just run and gun it, dude. And it's so fucking annoying. It's so fucking annoying. I remember that mission specifically. Whenever I'd play through it again, that mission would be like, oh, fuck. It's this mission. The other missions, love those. Those are a lot of fun. But that one, God, it's a fucking nightmare. But these are just 2 super solid fucking shooters right here. Like, I would give Modern Warfare probably an 8.5. And I would give Modern Warfare 2 like a 9. It is that good. It really is. It really is. That's it for the Call of Duty section of this. Since we're talking about shooters, though, I did also play Battlefield 1, which, I gotta admit, while I like some of the combat mechanics and I like some of the mission design, I think the campaign was way too fucking short. Like, it felt like it would have been better if maybe they focused on, like, 3 characters. And instead of having, like, 3 to 4 short missions for those guys, you get, like, 5 to 7 fully built-out missions for those characters. And I feel like that would overall make, like, a better story. Like, you could do, like, I don't know, you could do the woman who's, like, helping Lawrence of Arabia. You could do the pilot. And then I don't really give a fuck about the Italian guy. You could do the Australian guy. You could choose those 3 characters, choose to follow their stories a little bit more intently, and give them a little bit more time. And I feel like you'd have a stronger campaign because you'd have better characters. You'd have overall better stories for each of those characters. And because you have a better story, you'd have more things at your disposal for good mission designs. I feel like because it was all over the place in terms of what character you're playing in this chapter and what country you're fighting for, what things you would have access to, it varies a lot in terms of gameplay, but it's not offering you much in terms of story, and even the variety in gameplay doesn't make up for the fact that the gameplay itself can be a little lackluster at times, and it doesn't satisfy the lack of emotional connection that you have to it through the rule of cool with its game mechanics. So as much as I wanted to give Battlefield 1 a lot of credit, and here's the thing, I understand that Battlefield 1 is a game that thrives in its multiplayer, but I'm not a multiplayer kind of guy. I just like to play single player, and I thought this game might be cool, and I gave it a chance, and kind of disappointed me. But there was another game right after that brought me right back up, and that was Titanfall 2, dude. I am so mad. I am so fucking mad that we are never going to get another Titanfall game, man, because this is such a cool concept for a shooter. A first-person shooter where you can switch between, just being in regular soldier mode and being in a fucking mech is so cool, dude. Plus, like, the customization and variety you can do with your mech in terms of, like, the weapons you can cycle through for different interactions is super cool. Then there's just like the gameplay of this game feels so cool. The movement feels so much more dynamic. It uses the wall jump and the wall run super effectively, in my opinion. It's one of the only games that actually does it effectively. Also, I think a lot of the guns are cool. I think the overall design of this world is sick. I think the bosses you have to fight throughout missions are very interesting. And the campaign is solid. Like your fucking Titan sacrificing itself to save you. That's such a nice little ending. And God, I wish we would have got another one of these. But no. Instead, this wonderful little game had to be sacrificed so that it could become Apex Legends. And don't get me wrong, I know live service games are the big rage, and Fortnite and shit was coming out right at the time, and Titanfall didn't perform super well by like metrics of just sales and profit. However, I still think if given proper funding and marketing, that Titanfall could be fucking huge, dude. People are getting burnout from the same old linear first-person shooters. Offering them something different and something with variety nowadays, especially as franchises like Call of Duty slip further and further into mediocrity or just straight up making bad, like undercooked games. Titanfall could be a real contender as like a new FPS that like gives people something that they can try. It gives them more versatility. It gives them more fun combat mechanics. But no, instead, we have Apex Legends, and EA is never going to make fucking Titanfall again, especially if they sell themselves out to the fucking Saudis, which, ooh. First all these comedians, now EA? Why don't these people have more integrity? It's because coin rules the world, baby. Economy, commerce, cash flow, cash money mentality mindset. You know what I mean? Don't even get me started on the Riyadh Comedy Festival. All those supposed free speech warriors who are now going to go to like a country where if you say anything out of turn, they will fucking execute you for it. Yeah, it's definitely not like journalists have been disappeared for trying to report on the very unjust reality that exists within some of these oil titan countries. It's definitely never happened, but whatever. Anyways, yeah, Titanfall 2 is really good. If you're looking for an older game, an older cheap game to play, that's a lot of fun. I cannot recommend Titanfall 2 enough. It is super good, super underrated. Definitely check it out if you want something fun to pass your time. Then after Titanfall 2, I got really into Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Just because I got a little tired of like the first-person shooters, and I wanted a different type of shooter, and so I figured, a third-person shooter that gives me a lot of access to different sandbox and shit is pretty cool. Plus, I used to play the Ghost Recon games back when I had a PS3, and I liked it. And now that I'm actually like better at video games, I decided why not play Ghost Recon again. And Breakpoint was so much fun, not because it has a good story, but just because the sandbox mechanics of the game, the fact that you have a squad, the fact that you have different classes and different weapons you can use for different types of situations is really cool. There's a lot of customizability. There's a lot of variety you can use. You can use a lot of different tactical approaches to situations. Like for me, I usually go with sniping, just because sniping in the game is super fun. I get a good sniper rifle. I put a suppressor on that bitch. I get a scope. And then whenever I have to clear a base, what I'll always do is I'll scan the area, figure out what I'm up against. If there's snipers in the area, I always take out the snipers first, and I always take out the rocket launchers if they're at a vantage point first, just because those guys will be able to provide cover fire from the top once the shit gets started, and I don't want those guys sniping my ass or shooting me with a fucking rocket or shooting my teammates with any of that shit, so then I have to revive them, and then I end up getting fucking blown up or shot fucking too, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want that to happen, so you take out the snipers, you take out the other shit early, and then once you do that, Figure out how many enemies they are. You got to make sure you always find the communications guy, especially if there's already a lot of guys, because if the comms guy gets on the fucking mic and starts talking, he's going to call in a fucking helicopter or some trucks and some other shit that's going to add a whole lot more pain in the ass once you decide to go loud and take the rest of the base, right? So you take out the comms guy, and then after that, you really just start making your way through the base. Another fun thing you can do is, like, if you want to take out shit faster, dude, like, one thing I'll do is I'll use the target marking shit where, like, I got 3 guys marked. I got 1 ready to go. Boom, boom, boom. 4 guys down. Now we got 20 more left, and then we just kind of make our way through it. And, yeah, the game is fun. Like, the fact that you can build classes, the way you have, like more of a utility bag where you can pull items from, random shit. You can craft stuff. I like the biovac system that allows you to rest, like, reset, maybe try new stuff in your class if you want to. You can also get buffs from your biovac, which is really cool. It's overall just a very solid 7 out of 10 game. Is it doing anything revolutionary when it comes to graphics? No. Is it telling the most compelling narrative you've ever heard? God, no. The story in this game fucking sucks. But does it give you a lot of things at your disposal that you can use in your playthrough that make it so that you can have a fun time testing out all the different options in this world because it gives you a high level of versatility? Yes, it does. It gives you a good sandbox to work with, and that makes it a lot of fun. Plus, you can use vehicles in this game, which is super sick, Like, you can use them to traverse around, get around faster. You can jump out of helicopters and parachute into areas, which is super sick. Like, you can cosplay as a Super Delta operator. And I don't know what's sicker than that. I don't want to join the military and go through like 4 years of rigorous service in hopes that I get chosen for some special forces unit and then go through the 2-year selection process of becoming some kind of special forces operative. I don't want to fucking do that. I don't want to have to go actually do war crimes. I just want to like cosplay as an operator for like 2 hours after work. And this game is the perfect way to do that. So I'm giving Ghost Recon Breakpoint a 7 out of 10. Okay, let me go through and rate more of these games. Let's rate more of these games. Black Myth Wukong, I give an 8.5. It's very good. It has a lot of things that make it a very fun, replayable game. However, it's missing a few things that I think could truly make it perfect or make it a masterpiece. Elden Ring. This one's a 9.5 out of 10. I have to beat it before I can really give it a definitive 10 out of 10. But for right now, it's a 9.5 out of 10. It's super fun. The story's super interesting. There's a ton of lore. The gameplay mechanics are fun, but also challenging, making it a very rewarding playthrough. And it's one of the most immersive games I've ever played. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Enjoyable, fun time. Not too long, doesn't take up too much of your time, delivers a pretty good story, and some fun missions. Modern Warfare 1 Remake. 7 out of 10. This is another 7 out of 10. Same level as Cold War. Same thing as Cold War. Some solid characters, good mission design. I'd say probably better mission design than Cold War, but there are some weaker points in the story, so that's what evens it out to a 7. Modern Warfare 2 Remake. 4.5 out of 10. 4.5 out of 10. The story fucking sucks. Some of the gameplay mechanics fucking suck. Some of the missions are just absolute dog shit. And the fact that this shares a name with one of the best shooters is it's a little disappointing. Then Modern Warfare 1 from Call of Duty, I give it like an 8.5 to a 9. It is just a very, very, very well-made game. Great mission design. It set a whole new tone for the shooter industry. Modern Warfare 2, I'm giving a 9.5. I know it's maybe in terms of gameplay mechanics and other stuff, it's not as refined as a From Software game. But god damn it, enjoyment plays a big factor. And if this game is so fucking enjoyable, it is straight up one of the most enjoyable shooters you can play. Okay? Whether you're doing it single player, multiplayer, if people are even fucking playing Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer. But if you're playing single player, it's straight up one of the best FPS campaigns you can play. Okay? Titanfall 2, I give an 8.5 out of 10. Same thing as like Black Myth Wukong. It has a lot of good stuff, but it's just missing a few things that could make it truly perfect. Mainly just I wish they ironed out some more of the combat mechanics a little better, and sometimes aiming in the mech can be a little ugh, which, isn't a huge deal, but, still. Battlefield 1, hurts me to say this, 5 out of 10. Because when I first started playing it and when I was going through it at first, I was like, wow, this is actually a very fun game. And then it wasn't as fun. And I was just like, okay, never mind. Some of the mission design was very piss poor, if you ask me. Monster Hunter Wilds, 7.5. 7.5. Actually, no, I'll give it like an 8. I'll give it an 8. It is a very fun game. There's a lot to explore. There's a lot of different things you can do. There's so many different options when it comes to armor, weapons, pods, potions, drinks, and stuff that you use that you can put into your build, to where it really makes it like a very fun game to grind through, put a lot of time into, and especially if you have friends, it's a fun game to play with friends. You get a little hunting party together. You guys go fucking fuck up a dragon together. It's a fun time, So I give Monster Hunter Wilds an 8 out of 10. And then, yeah, that's everything. So now let's talk about the game I've been playing most recently, Armored Core 6. Now, Armored Core 6 is just, oh my god, this game operates on the fucking rule of cool, dude. Like first off, just the idea of like a third-person mech fighting game or like a mech shooter game is sick. Like it's kind of like I don't even know if it's a shooter. It's like an action RPG. Just because it's not like you only use guns. You also use like melee weapons. Like you have a fucking pile bunker that's literally just this giant fucking spike you have mounted on your arm that you can use to fucking like absolutely chunk people's health. Like currently the build I'm running, which my friend kind of put me onto this build, was I'm running a very light build with like decent arms, double shotguns, and then I have the weapons bay upgrade so that I can switch to the pile bunker so that once I fucking like shoot them enough and break their AC, then I get up close, get the pile bunker out, and just absolutely shred their fucking AP with the pile bunker because it's such a destructive melee weapon. Also, a lot of the melee weapons in this fucking like game are pretty good, especially the more basic ones. Like as you get further, some of the newer ones are a little like, I think I can go without it, but like that pulse blade and the fucking pile bunker, dude, those things are fucking insane when you actually learn how to use them right. And Armored Core 6, part of the big appeal for me is that like the combat feels like a more kinetic version of the combat in the War for Cybertron games. Like it's a little bit more zoomed out, but the combat is very similar in terms of like weapons, in terms of how you move and stuff, And it's the closest we're ever going to get to one of those Cybertron games ever, probably. And you know what? I'm perfectly happy with that because this shit is awesome. Plus, like, this game, just like Elden Ring and a lot of other From Software games, gives you so many options when it comes to customizability. Because you don't just have a body that you can customize, where you can do arms, your core, head, legs, generator, your fucking booster rockets, as well as, like, your targeting chip. But it's like you also have 4 different weapons. You have 4 different weapons you can use. You have your, like, arm weapons, and then you have your shoulder-mounted weapons, and you can use your shoulder-mounted weapons to hold space for another weapon that you use in your arm, you know what I mean? And so you have so many different things you can do with the builds. You can build, like, a tank build with, like, the tank lower body, a very strong upper body, a powerful-ass generator, and you can put, like, fucking just heavy hitting shit or rapid fire stuff where you can just constantly be firing stuff at an enemy and you don't have to move that much because you're a tank, so you have like a huge health pool, and so you can just kind of be like a walk them down type of guy. And then you can also be like the build I'm building where you're super lightweight, you prioritize moving around a target. Like with me, the biggest thing I do to break characters' AP right now, or AC right now I should say, is I jump over them. And I use my jump because I have reverse jointed legs. I use the jump to get myself over them, and then I shoot down at them, which helps me get off like 1 to 2 shots with the double shotguns. And when you're shooting 2 shotguns at the same time at close range, it does a good amount of damage. You do like 2, 3, maybe even 4 shots straight to them, dude. Eventually, their AC breaks. They get staggered. Then, that's like I said, you switch to the pile bunker and you shred their fucking AP. And there's other good shit in the game that can also just do so much damage. Like, there's like handheld weapons that can fuck people up. I remember for a while I was using the double impact grenade launcher. Like, I would use that. Like, if I saw someone, I was like, I know you're gonna go to that spot and stay there for a second. I'd wait for them to like move over, and then I'd be like, poop, hit you with the grenade. Immediately breaks their AC just because of the impact, and then I would just hit them with my missile launchers and other shit I had. You know what I mean? But as I've gotten further in the game and as bosses have gotten harder, I've realized, sometimes the constant pressure model does work, but sometimes you just need to get better at the game and using a more precise style. Because before, when I first started the game, I really focused on just doing constant pressure. I would have like a heavier weapon in my right hand and then like a lighter, more rapid fire weapon in my left hand, just so that like in between shooting the right hand weapon, I would have the left hand weapon to keep poking at the target, and then I'd use like usually missile launchers, 2 missile launchers to keep applying pressure. But I found that with the constant pressure build, once you get to stronger bosses in the game, once you break their AC, just shooting them with regular guns and a barrage of shit isn't going to do the most damage. Whereas like you break their AC and then you have something like the pile bunker, the pulse blade, or even something like the grenade launcher, or the songbirds, which are shoulder-mounted grenade launchers to shoot at the boss. You can absolutely eviscerate chunks of their AP just by staggering them. And if you learn the proper way to stagger them, it's literally just a process. Dodge, dodge, hit, hit, dodge, dodge, hit, dodge, dodge, hit. They're staggered. Switch your weapon, hit them with the pile bunker, or they're staggered, hit them with the songbirds, or whatever your biggest weapon is at that moment. Hit them with the hardest shot that you can in that moment. Because this game, especially when it comes to the bosses, is all about breaking them down and then capitalizing on them being broken down, okay? And it's so fun. Like, the combat is so dynamic. Sometimes it can get a little like, whoa, what's going on here? Can we chill out a little bit, especially if you build a really fast mech, just because that motherfucker can fly around. You know what I mean? You've literally got booster rockets in a fucking 30-foot robot, which is also something that's awesome about the series. It's like, when you really think about the scale of these things, they're really just such impressive, Titan-like machines. These are like 3 to 4 story fucking tall robots that are flying around at insane speeds, pulling combat maneuvers that you would never expect from something of this size, which means their maneuverability and the science that would go into these things is absolutely insane, dude. Right now, I picked the ending where I side with Walter and Carla, and so I'm having to fight Air, the coral girl that shows up in your head halfway through the game. Yeah, dude, fuck this bitch. I've gotten so close to beating her a few times, but every time I just I'm one heal short. I'm one of my armor expansions short, where it's like, oh, if I would have done that right then, I would have staggered her and I would have been able to fucking beat her. But, that's the fun thing about From Software games, is that when you get beat, you can kind of start to understand why you got beat. It's not just like, oh, they have an impossible move. Eventually you start to understand, oh no, this is what they're doing and this is why I'm getting hit by it. So this is what I have to do to avoid getting hit by it in order to beat them. And that's what I'm doing with this boss. That's what I've done with a lot of the bosses in this game, and this has been such a fun game to play. I think I've dumped about 50 hours into it. No, more than 50 in the past month. I've definitely dumped more than 50 hours into it, but super fun game. Holy shit. Oh my god. We went over an hour, and I didn't even get to the second thing I wanted to talk about today, which is the recent movies I've watched, because I was going to talk about him, Limitless, and Van Helsing, but honestly, I could maybe save that for next week when I have more to talk about. I think this is a good stream of consciousness episode. We talked for a whole hour about fucking video games. Hopefully I didn't turn any of you into school shooters by doing that, because them dang video games, especially them shooter ones with guns, that's what's poisoning the minds of the youth. You know what I mean? It's totally not, ease of access to weapons in an economically and mentally unstable country. Anyways, on that note, we're done. Thank you for coming to the pod. This has been PMC Episode 3. I have been your host, Panda. Y'all have a good one.